Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Soul, Light, and Body. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Excellent.
It's so good to see you guys. Dr. Pat, welcome to Soul, Light, and Body.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And I've been waiting for this moment all week long.
Thank you.
Thank you. So are we.
And you're here to nourish and nurture this space this evening, because you're going to really help us understand how we can fix our health and fix our life. And what a better time for this subject, because a lot of people are experiencing so much of stuff in their lives. And we all need a little help along the way. And that is where you come in. Because you're going to give us some guidelines this evening, how we can really incorporate in our lives so we can sustain ourselves and help ourselves to walk the right path. You know, if you're asking yourself a lot of questions, it's time that you sit, grab a pen, grab a notepad, and pause in a silent space. And write down the way how you're feeling. Write down the sensations you're feeling in your body from your head to the tip of your toe. Write how you're feeling in your quiet moments. Write how you're feeling. Because many times we are not doing this self-reflection to see how we are feeling. We are pouring so much out into the world, and we are not pausing to pour back into ourselves. And you find that we are so stressed out, we are so burnt out, because we are not pausing and doing self-care for ourselves. And how is your mindset? How is your mindset this evening? What paradigm are you running on? Are you running on a paradigm that was being given to you by someone else? Because many times we are running on paradigm that is being given to us by someone else. And we believe it's true, and it's not true. So this evening, just sit back, grab a pen, grab a notepad, and start to take some notes, because Dr. Pat is going to really unfold some beautiful pointers for you. And always remember, this is a very interactive conversation. You can ask your questions, and she's going to answer them for you and help you to understand more about yourself, how you can take care of your gut, how you can take care of the brain fog, things that you need to do to incorporate in your life. Because mental health is on the rise. And we need to take care of our mental health. We are not paying attention to our mental health. And it's time we do that. It's time we focus on ourselves. It's time. Are you continuing to do your journaling? Are you writing 10 things that you're grateful for every day? Are you showing gratitude? What type of foods are you eating to nourish yourself? Because food is fuel. It's fuel. Whatever you put in, that is what is going to nourish the body. And it's nourishing your mind, body, and spirit. So it's very essential for us to really take a stock of our lives and see how this vessel is operating. This vessel is what takes us around every day. And we need to pay attention what's happening with it. A lot of people are suffering in silence. It's time that you reach out and get the right kind of help that you need. Reach out and get the right kind of help that you need. It's okay to switch things up. It's okay. You can pivot and you can switch things up in your life. It's okay. Use the author of your life so you can do that for you. So this evening, we just want to welcome Dr. Pat once again to this beautiful space. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast this evening, just share us out. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul Light and Body, that you'll never miss none of these episodes. Every week, we always bring someone who can enrich you, who can empower you, and help you to move forward. If you're feeling stuck, you can able to say, but you know what? I have heard some great pointers on Soul Light and Body, and I can add it to my toolkit so I can move on with my life. I'm Karen Pascal, holistic health and wellness coach, and a co-author of 2 books with my sister, Joan Williams, Your Gut in You and Self-Care is Intentional. If you haven't grabbed a copy as yet, I think it's time. Head over to Amazon, click that link. The link is in the description below. Click that link and grab yourself a copy of these books because it's going to help to enhance your life and help you to understand more about your body. This vessel, it's going to help you to understand more about your body. And self-care is intentional. It's not only going to the spa alone. It's so much other things involved. Your mental health, as I just said, setting your healthy boundaries, and so much more. So go over and grab yourself a copy. Or grab, if you know someone who can benefit from those books, just present them it. Send it as a gift.
And don't forget our magazine.
And our Start Healthy magazine, both digital and hard copy. It's free. It's free for you. We're doing this all for you. So go in the description. You're going to find all these links, and you're going to just click the links, and you know what? Just serve yourself. It's time. Serve yourself. Thank each and every one of you who's going to join us now and join us on the replay. We hope that you're going to really be enriched with this podcast this evening, because you know what? Dr. Pat going to enrich us. She will. Joan, take the mic. Thank you for being here.
Great openings always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Dr. Pat, in the house. I just want to I want to lead with something that you said, Karen. It's time.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's time.
And it's time we choose ourselves, how we're going to move forward. We were in 2025. March is moving forward. Where are you at this point in time? Yes, you might have set great goals entering 2025, and or maybe you just had one word. What is your one word? If your one word is intentionality, or your one word is epic, or whatever your one word is, how is that working for you? The thing is that there are so many things that we can do, little things, the baby steps to help us to attain our goals, whatever it is we're working towards. But first, we gotta have that level of self-awareness. We gotta have that level of self-awareness, and we gotta remind ourselves, which is essential, who we are. Who are you? And know that you are special. You are amazing. You got a special gift that the world is waiting to receive. When you spoke about the level of gratitude is so important, because gratitude is not for what others has given to us, but gratitude for ourselves. So who we are,
Absolutely.
happy that we are here. We're happy in this universe that we can share and serve and give to others, be of service to others. And every day is a daily gratitude for who we are. How do we show up? How do we show up? Are we stepping into our power? Are we walking with that level of confidence that when we walk into a space, whether it's a room, meeting someone, moving with that level of confidence? That when we walk into a space, whether it's a room, meeting someone, moving. Is there a feedback or something? When we walk into a space, whether it's a room, meeting someone. Yeah, and are you showing yourself love and compassion? Are you being hard on yourself? Or are you letting your past define you? No. Today we're here to tell you your past does not define you because every day is a work in progress and you got greatness within you. Let it shine. Let your light shine that you can eliminate the world, eliminate others. Bring that out. We want to remind you today to celebrate your wins, big or small. You work hard to get there. Move through failures, rejection, no's, setbacks. But you found a way to return, to lift yourself, to elevate yourself. That level of resilience, that tenacity. Yes, you've got that. And so you're able to push yourself forward and move in a trajectory that can help you to attain your goals. Today, we want to remind you lean into your inner wisdom, lean into that inner guidance that's going to help you to navigate through life and not forgetting pausing. Pausing is so essential. Find that quiet time for yourself where you can go in to that inner space, just being quiet, whether it's meditation or whatever you're doing. But take that time, whether it's 5, 10 minutes daily. Get out into nature so that you can draw in that inner wisdom, draw in that inspiration. And most of all, remember, whatever your source is, God, whatever that may be, connect with that so it can support you, can lift you up. And surround yourself with amazing people who can support you when there are moments that you're low, when there are moments you feel like giving up, when there are moments that you have the setbacks. Those great people who you're surrounded by, your community, your great friends, can lift you up and said, no, we got you. You can do this. We're here to support you and help you to move forward. We're here to provide you with a level of motivation that you can attain whatever is going after. Whatever is your driving force, we are here to support you. Be grateful for those people as well. Tonight, we got a great show for you. And Dr. Pat is such an amazing person who is going to enlighten us, inspire us, give us insight, new perspectives, how we can fix our health and how we can fix our life because we all need that, I think. We all want to live healthy, have a level of vitality so that all the goals that we're going after, we can stay strong and enjoy that. So Dr. Pat is here to sprinkle that on us tonight and bring a level of clarity, how we can understand to move forward. My name is Joan Williams, Holistic Health and Wellness Coach, and among so many other things that I do along with Karen. And we just want to tell you, just continue to believing in yourself because you're special. Dr. Pat, welcome. It's so amazing to have you here with us to share space with us tonight. It's a true honor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here, and I'm looking forward to having a very engaging, and fun conversation because your life should be fun and it shouldn't be so hard. And and I think that there's a venue that we can share that gets us started in the right direction, so that we can have we can ignite our own health and we can lift ourselves up, and when we're able to do that, we can heal, lift up people before us, behind us, and all around us. And that is where your health begins.
Thank you for saying that. We know that you're a coach, you're a physician, you're a speaker, you're a visionary, thought leader, CEO of Health Team Network, and all these amazing work that you're doing. You're lifting up the world, you're impacting the world, you're making a difference, you're making a change daily because every life that you touch, every person that you meet, every environment, your colleagues, and every single thing, you're helping all of us to
Mhm.
see clearly how we can help ourselves and be that influence in the world. So we want to say thank you again for being here. I know we get so many questions we want to talk to you, but what motivated you to become a doctor? Give us a little backstory.
Well, I wanted to be a doctor for, maybe since I was 2 years old. I had, when I was a kid, I always played doctor. We all did that. We didn't have anything, a lot of other toys to play with like they do today. But we played doctor. And, one of the things that is prevalent when I think back to that is that I was always the doctor. I was never the nurse. I was never the patient. Nobody under my care, even at like 3 or 5 years old, when we were playing doctor, died. And we all had fun and we all were healthy. And then we went outside and played afterwards. And there's always been a real true interest on my part, for science, like how do things work? I can remember sitting in someone's car and it hit a chuck hole, which some people call potholes. And someone hit it. I said, oh my God. I said, it's so cold outside. The ground contracted. And the person, we were at a red light, the person looked at me and said, what did you say? And I said, the ground contracted. And then when it gets cold and warm and cold, I go, it expands. So so we can see those changes in nature all around us. And what happens in nature also happens to us. It's just being
Sure.
aware and being able to take
Sure.
that, vision of that and being able to apply that to other animals and apply that to us also. So that's kind of where it started. And then I had more science classes, and then went to college and studied, basically took all pre-med. I only needed a couple courses to go to school, chiropractic school, but I was pre-med when I went and decided not to become a medical doctor, and decided to become a chiropractor instead, because I really felt that healing really is a natural experience, and the power that makes us also is the power that gives us the ability to heal also. You just got to give it the right ingredients in order for that to happen. You don't bake a cake with one egg, and so likewise, your health is, much more complicated than that, than a one egg theory. But, it's just like when you figure out the potion, so to speak, then you've got, a recipe that lasts you a lifetime.
Wow. I like how you use the analogy with the cake, because that's true. That is so true, and we can look at it from our lives perspective, that how we should live our lives. It's so many things we gotta put together: mind, body, spirit. So what do we do to bring everything that we can move in the left alignment and live not just surviving but thriving?
Hmm. Well, nothing gives me more pleasure than to see somebody do good, have fun, and thrive. And it's a passion of mine. It's a passion that never grows old, and it's always there. So when somebody has a win, I think we all win.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Right.
yes,
And
yes.
and that's my philosophy, about that. So if I can help somebody have that win more frequently and be more consistent about how they win in their health and their wellness and their mindset, I'm really happy to be that person.
Wow. Well said.
It is well said. That's
You
so
can go home
Well
beautifully
now.
said.
said. Well said. One thing that you said really resonate with myself and Joan when you talk about what happens in nature happens to us.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, nature is our biggest lesson, and we're not paying attention to nature.
Oh no, we have a very angry Earth right now. We've had
I
been
know.
for the last couple of years, and if you look at and you neglect it, then you have an issue. Today, when I was driving from Watkins Glen to Ithaca, I noticed a lot of chemtrails, because if they were just vapor
Hmm.
trails, they would have vanished very quickly. But they
Yes.
were there the whole way over, and I'm thinking, why do they do that? I mean, it's just like it's like up here where you have, a lot of less 5G towers and a lot of toxicity, so to speak. I said, why is the necessity for that? When I lived in Washington D.C., I could sometimes count up to 30 of them in the sky,
Wow.
and I just thought, like, what exactly is in them? And then people used to say that it was like, oh, it's just, phony baloney, type thing. But there's more to it. Can't, that density's got to be supported. And then, it's bad news ultimately all around. Unless, you take action, you have to be really mindful about the food that you eat, the air that you
Mm-hmm.
breathe, the water you
Yeah.
drink, your thoughts, those are all the things that make you sick. So you have to be
Mm-hmm.
really aware of them. Like, how can I elevate that one aspect of that? Just even one thing. When I used to teach a course and I had my office on Cape Cod, I used to tell people, I don't care if you go like, oh my God, there's just so much information. I can't write everything down. Don't write it down. Come back again. Just sit there and be an open vessel to hearing what you need to hear, because you'll hear what you need to hear. And then you'll be able to go act on that. And then after you do that and you do that well, then you could do something else.
Yes.
To do that. So that, there's things in people, I remember lecturing and, teaching this course on wellness, and people looked horrified because they started out being really happy. Then they absolutely looked horrified. And they said, well, what do we eat then? Because
Yeah.
we got so used to eating, even back then, crappy food, and the quality of food in the United States, especially, we're this, like one of the biggest nations, we're also one of the sickest nations in the world. And so it's like, why is that? Why is it that Heinz ketchup in the United States has so many ingredients, but Heinz ketchup made for the same country, same company, and the UK, it's the ingredients are only 8, maybe 8 ingredients. Why is that? It's the same. It's the same company. It would seem to me like one recipe should cut it, especially if it's the flavor's still there and they think the flavor's there. You can go to Trader Joe's and buy organic ketchup. When people have that after having Heinz ketchup, they go, wow, this is really good. And you just don't realize, because you get accustomed to that
Right.
one, that whatever it is that you're eating, like going to and spending $10 on a coffee at Starbucks. And it's like, who does that? There's so much sugar in that, in corn syrup, and anything that has corn syrup. All corn in the United States you can consider bad for you unless it's organic, because it's GMO, and GMO looks like but doesn't act like. And it gives you the feeling that when I eat corn, it's just like I feel full, and so therefore it must be good for me. And that's not the reasoning to really use for that. There's a lot of foods that are put on the market that are considered safe because they don't hit a certain ratio, or a ratio that like becomes crescendo, because you wouldn't know that, because many of those things are accumulatory, and there's so many items and ingredients, inert ingredients, that ultimately one time it's okay, perhaps. But if you
Right.
keep on having the same food and you keep on having that same ingredient in it, it's like, even, a couple of months ago, I saw, and I was on another podcast and mentioned this, that, the sodium benzoate is a man-made product. If you see it on an ingredient list of something that you're consuming, whether it's on your skin, 65% of what you put on your skin gets absorbed, but sodium
Mm-hmm.
benzoate is a man-made product. And I saw it in a natural product. The alarming thing to me was there was vitamin C in that product too. So what happens when you have sodium benzoate, which is a man-made product, with vitamin C, it makes a benzene ring, which is like having gasoline. And it's just like, how many people would put gasoline on your face or on your skin, or why would you consume it and swallow it? So reading labels and knowing, if when you don't understand something that you're reading, or taking the time and interest in your self-love and self-care, reading that, what that ingredients is, and making a list for yourself, and what is the side effect of that. It's just like, who cares if you can pronounce it? It's just like, what you want to know is, you want to know how that affects your life, in every aspect of your life, how you think, if you have brain fog, if you wake up and you can't wake up because you're so tired. If you're watching TV at night and you have the TVs on, when you go to, get up the next morning, you feel like you have a headache, or you just have a block, and it's just getting that motivation isn't there. You're not productive. You're fatigued. You want to go to sleep at 12 noon, let alone before 5 o'clock. And a lot of people, function that way and they think it's normal. And there's nothing normal about that.
Mhm.
You should be vivacious. You should live your life like on fire until the day your lights go out. In order to do that, you have to think well, feel well, and move well. And you have to choose lifestyle choices that are healthier and better in order to be able to achieve that one piece. Because then when you have that, then you have peace of mind
Yes.
and you're not overthinking. Things, they all relate to one another. It's like this
Mhm.
spider web, and you're thinking, well, where do I go? It's just the choice is just to make the first move,
Wow.
just one step, to do something for yourself that's healthy and that fosters your life in the immediate and in the future.
Well
Wow.
said.
Well, I mean, you touch on so many points. I mean, it's just giving us a level of understanding. Watch
Hmm.
what you eat, look at your labels, make sure that you're thinking, because I think when you going grocery shopping and what you put in your cart or refrigerator or what you have in your pantry, you have to analyze and evaluate, what is this doing for me?
Hmm.
Is this helping my life to feel better, a quality life? Is this making me healthier? How do I feel when I'm adding all these things to my meals, my diet, my snacks? So you really have to be mindful of how you are choosing, correct?
Hmm. Well, the one thing that's never happened in this country's never really taught anybody how to eat. And so, I can remember my mother buying Duncan Hines cake mix, and and sitting at the table, and she had it cooking when we were having dinner, so you could smell it, and it smelled so good. It tasted like paper. It was the word I just, it didn't taste like cake to me at all. And I even tried to give it to my dog, and my dog wouldn't eat it. So, um, and my mother was horrified because everyone said, this isn't good. This doesn't taste good. And she thought she was doing something good. It was easier for her to do that than do it from scratch because she just didn't really have a lot of time, in the house. And so when she had to do it, she had to have somebody had to help her mix the cake while she was doing something else,
Right,
in the house,
right.
whatever it was. Um, so I think we have to we need, and I think the consciousness about food is changing
Mhm.
too.
Yes.
And more people are interested in it. But, nonetheless, it's just like when I talk to people and I just like, well, why don't you do this? Or, today when I was working in the office, I was telling somebody I'm on this 31-day challenge for myself where I'm drinking 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar, organic, with filtered water that has no TDSs in it. This is total dissolved solids. So it's pretty pure. And the pH of it is very close to 7. So I've been doing this for 5 days now, and I've got tons of energy. And when I go to sleep at night, it's not an issue. I just go to sleep, and and I have like rituals that I do, and I created rituals over like 38 years of experience of helping people elevate their health, and ignite their life and change their mindset. Because sometimes what we were taught is what we were taught. It has nothing to do with the solution. But because like my mother said, or this is just how we ate. It doesn't mean you have to eat that way. You can make better
Sure.
choices. You
So
can
true.
always do better.
So true.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, listening to you, we all have a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever choice we make, that is what we have to live with.
Hmm.
And as an adult, when we sit and we look at our lives and then we realize that our bodies start to break down with dis-ease,
Hmm.
that's the time we really got to focus on what is healthy for our lives, you know. And it's not the food alone we consume, it's what you're listening to,
Hmm.
what you're surrounding yourself with, the type of people that you're surrounding yourself with is also super important, you
Of
know.
course.
Hmm.
And that brings me to the question, what's the link between diet, lifestyle, and environment?
Oh, it's huge. They, you ever see those like when you're doing PDFs, like, and you're like able to draw on them and they give you a line and you can make how thick you want that line to be, and if you put an arrow at one end, you would have to put an arrow on the other end and you would
Mhm.
have to touch all points.
Right.
Right. And so they're all, it's all highly related. It's directly proportional. I have a health questionnaire that I give out, and there's no really right answer or wrong answer. But if you write something down, you definitely want to make sure that that's highlighted because it's an exclamation mark. So
Mhm.
in this environmental health questionnaire that I give out, it just asks you some basic questions about, well, what do you use in the kitchen? What do you use for cleaning
Right,
fluid?
right, right.
What do you use for your gardening? And it's just like I had one of my very first coaching client, who's no longer alive, by the way, but not because of anything that happened. But what happened to her is she came to me from her daughter, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Wow.
This is like 8 years ago now, something like that. And so the first time I talked to her, I asked her, like, where do you think you had the exposure from? She goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, you have lungs, you got to breathe. And I said,
Right.
did you live around a steel mill when you were growing up? And she just, she got real quiet. And she said, a year and a half ago, I opened up a bag of fertilizer and it fell out of my hands and it hit the ground. And it was really windy that day and it blew up all in her face.
Wow.
She said, and every time I've been trying to think about what happened or where it started, she goes, that's the image that comes up in my brain. And I just like, I wasn't there. I don't know. And so in the story, I talked to her. It wasn't her daughter, it was her daughter-in-law. And so when I talked to her, she says, like, my mom really likes you. And I said, I'm really glad. I said, I'm really concerned about her. And I said, because I go, there's really not much I can do for her except help her change her diet and make it less
Mhm.
inflammatory. But when she told me that she was drinking shakes because she thought they were a good thing for her to do, I said, what kind of shakes are you drinking? She goes, oh, fruit shakes, like pineapple and banana and things that were really sugary and high glycemic index. And I didn't want to tell her, but I said, you have to stop drinking that because you're literally pouring kerosene on the fire and that because that makes more inflammation. And then it really wasn't publicized. Now we know that sugar is a main source of, inflammation, and especially fruit, because you don't digest fruit in your gut. In order for it to be processed in the
Mhm.
body, it has to go to the liver.
Mhm.
And if the liver has to keep on doing that, it gets stressed out and it doesn't know what to do with those toxins.
Mhm.
And so it puts those toxins in blood, brain, bone, and fat. And those are all deep organs to have toxins get stored in.
Right.
So at any rate, she maybe like on the third time I talked to her, she said, do you think it's possible that this could have metastasized to my brain? And I said, you're talking to the wrong person. You need to call your oncologist.
Yes.
Because if you're thinking that, I go, you're having symptoms, right? And she said, I am. And she goes, and it's disturbing. I said, I'm not the person to talk to.
Right.
I go, you need to talk to your oncologist. And she passed away very shortly after that.
Wow.
Wow.
But this point is that people don't, they think that they're doing something good for themselves because she
Right.
heard that shakes were, they call them health shakes. Just because they're shakes doesn't mean they're healthy. It
Mhm.
depends upon what the ingredients is. It depends upon how they're combined. And it depends upon what you mix it with. Some people are like, well, I'm not drinking that. That tastes horrible. It's not the end of your life to have a shake that doesn't taste that great. It's like you have to look at it as like, what's the outcome that I'm trying to achieve? And what
Right.
is it that I have to do if I really want to be healthy? If I really, really, really want to be healthy, what
Mhm.
is it that I have to do in order to get there? And you got to be willing to do what it takes
Yes.
to get there. Especially if you have children, especially if you have grandchildren, and especially if you have people around you. And you said something I thought is interesting because there's a lot of reasons why people can get sick, but having the wrong people around them and having
Yeah.
toxic people, that suck their energy and or constantly undermine you, It's kind of like you take one step forward and five back, and you're thinking,
Right,
wow, am I
exactly.
not in the same place, but I'm actually behind from where I started. You have to like take a look at how that environment and the environment of where you live in, you have to take a look at the dust in your house. You have to take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Like up here, I've never seen in my entire life. Sorry, I know you guys are from New York too, but I've never seen so many cobwebs in like houses, any place I've ever been in my life. There's
Mm-hmm.
like and plus you're near water, so spiders love water, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I mean, I just when I'm around here, I just look at the environment that I'm in, and it's not exactly perfect, and maybe none of our environments are. But the thing
Right.
is, what can I do
Yeah.
for me? Because if you nurture yourself, then you have the capacity to nurture someone else.
True.
So it's simple thing to do is just start drinking clean water. Drink water
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't and get a TDS monitor. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the tap water where I'm living at, the numbers are like 300, close to 400 coming out of the tap. And people drink it. And they drink water out of the refrigerator that says it has a filter. Just because it has a filter doesn't mean it's a good filter. It doesn't mean it's taking anything out of that, of the water. But people drink it thinking that they're doing themselves justice by doing that, but they really are doing themselves an injustice because they don't know what's in it. And when you know what's in it, then you can make better choices about what you're willing to eat and what you're not willing to eat. And where do you want to be? Do you want to be sitting on top of the world, or do you want to do you want to be crawling up there when everyone else is sitting there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, it makes sense. And being that, your background and the holistic aspects of that, and being a health coach, we three know that foundation. Nobody sometimes they don't understand what their basic bottom line is or what their
Mm-hmm.
foundational line is. You better know. Numbers don't lie.
Yes, true.
That's so true.
Hmm.
That is absolutely right.
Sorry, I don't mean to
Wow.
scare anybody.
No, no,
That's
but
just facts.
it's real talk
Yeah,
because
it's just facts.
Hmm.
it's time that because if we want to make the change in our lives and we want to be healthy and we want to have the level of vitality, then there's certain changes we can start making small incremental changes so we can have a better life and live our best, and we can
Hmm.
be healthy, we can have live. And I like how you spoke about sleep because sleep is so important. What quality sleep do we get on a daily basis? Are we really sleeping? Are we resting so that when we wake up, we're not tired? We feel fatigue, brain fog. And it all stems back to the food that we eat, correct?
Well, for sure. And also the water. You need water. You need to be hydrated well enough so that when you sleep, that water helps your brain detoxify. And those toxins have got to go someplace. And when they don't have a place to go, because that's the part of what the liver's function is
Mm-hmm.
to help you with your detoxification. And when it can't do it and get it back into the intestinal tract or get it small enough to go to the kidney, the bladder, it's supposed to end up in the toilet. But what happens is that people don't detoxify well, and there's different levels of detoxification, and where certain things happen at certain times. When you can't do that, then you reabsorb those toxins into your body, and it's just like, and they don't want to be there. Your body doesn't want them. But then what it does is it will like keep on laying those toxins down, and they'll eventually try to encapsulate them.
Yes.
And it'll always go to your weakest link first, which is why in the
Mm-hmm.
book, Why Are You Sick, Fat, and Tired, you can look at your 11 organ systems and do the simple, it's a written questionnaire that, you can answer, and it totals up numbers. And those numbers will give you a health pattern, and it will tell you what's going on in present tense. So it's like I have two books of those. Was the prequel, and the other one's the sequel to the prequel. And the second one is more addressing. There's more information on it clearly, and it's also asks really important questions because a lot of times we don't consider taking over the counter, supplements or over the counter, like analgesics and things like that, things that are pain relievers. We
Mm-hmm.
don't consider that drugs, but it's the drug.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this, and we don't consider it. So you have to look at like, well, what is it? Like, what is it that I'm ingesting, and how am I assimilating it in my body? Because we all took 800 milligrams of ibuprofen how it affects me might be totally different than how it
Right.
affects you,
True.
Karen or Joan. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
just,
Right.
and you might have different experience with that based upon what your body chemistry is.
Yes.
Wow. I
It's,
just want to pick. No, finish your thought.
I was just saying, it's just something to consider, when you're like looking at the big picture. And that's why, I think, it's important to hire people that are coaches, people who are well
Yeah.
trained and well learned, so that you can get information, because knowledge is powerful, but it's only powerful if you know how to stack it. So
Right.
it's like great, like, people know stuff, but do they act on it?
Sure.
Right.
And it's just like, and
Right.
if they don't
Right.
act on it, it's just like, well, why is it? Is it
Hmm.
overwhelming?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, well, I just don't know where to go find that first piece,
Hmm.
and so it is, it's just like it's just paying attention to that, and it's going and finding the person that you can ask that question to. When I don't know something, I go like, oh, who do I know who would know this?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
sometimes it's even my ex-husband. I mean, it's just like, because he had this really vertical intelligence about specific subjects in his life, and it's just like, and he's an open book when it comes to that information, just tunneling right out. It's wonderful. So we're fortunate to be able to be given the ability to do that, because I think when someone prays for somebody and they pray for their health, what they really need to pray for is to pray for the person they can put in front of the person who is needing that support, with the
Yeah.
right person who
Right.
has the knowledge that can help support them, elevate them. That's what I think is important.
So true. Knowledge is power.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm. Well, it's like, it's not a one book. I mean, that's just like, people I work with,
Mm-hmm.
it's very individualized, and so it's like, if what I would do with you, Karen, be totally different maybe than what I would do with Joan. There'd be some overlap, but there's
Yeah.
certain things that are very colloquial to each individual person. And when you have that individual person, it's they have their own bio, like, needs that are in them. So like, if you're looking for a health hack, if you're looking for, a biohack, not everyone can do the same biohack and have the same result.
Mm-hmm.
And so one person, and even Dr. Mayo Clinic, always said, medication, one person might be the perfect solution for them. And then there's a second person who is, takes the same thing and it kills them. It's just like, so you really got to take a look at the chemistry and how someone reacts into the environment. So you asked me a question about all those things. They're all related. They're directly
Mm-hmm.
proportional.
Yeah. And like we learning in at IAN, it's all by your individuality.
Hmm. It's just
Hmm.
like, everyone's different.
Hmm.
Even people in the same family.
Yes.
Right. Right. Right.
I mean, because people in the same family can have different DNA. you
True.
know, and so I have a girlfriend who's when she and her sister both did the DNA along with her parents, and her sister was more related to her parents than she was, and because her part of her strain of her DNA came from Africa, and the other ones didn't,
Wow.
and so it's, I always think that that's, interesting to see where what someone's, you think that
True.
Right.
but you
Right.
really
Right.
don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just how that DNA came together, those 23 genes on either side came
Mm-hmm.
together at that moment to create you, which is like, we're all
Mm-hmm.
unique. And we
Yeah.
should honor the uniqueness, and
True.
people should be treated in their health, in their mindset, in their well being with those unique qualities in mind when you're trying to sort out or help them, understand where they're coming from and where they're going and what the capacity and what the possibility is. Because when you're making those choices, you also have to take a look at, like, what am I willing to do, and also what's the goal,
True.
right?
Right.
Because our goals could be very, very different, and but we all want to go to the same place.
True.
It's kind of like how we're getting, like, when we going to meet there. you know we might meet there a year from now,
Hmm.
Karen, you and I, and it's just like, and then Joan, we might meet there tomorrow. It's just like, it
Yeah.
depends on what, you have to take a look at the bigger picture of
Mm-hmm.
that. So whether you're an entrepreneur or an executive, a busy professional, a mom or dad who I consider they're influencers, right? And they're also leaders in their family. It's just like, we all have those stresses, And we want to be able to modulate those stresses so that we have a better response to them. And you can do that, by following 5 pillars of health, which is taking a significant look at what you're doing for your diet and nutrition, which should be one thing, your
Right.
exercise, how you're moving, your sleep, how much you sleep and the quality of sleep, your positive mindset, and positive mental attitude is huge, and how you're handling the stress of the environment, the gravity. So it's just like the biomechanics is important, because if you don't have proper biomechanics, then at some point in time you're going to wear down, just like your tires do,
Mhm.
and or your cars.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take a look at, like, okay, I didn't realize this was going to be that big of a job, and it doesn't
Right.
have to be a big job. Just like if you learn things very in small chunks, then you can apply those to your life and other people's lives around you, and that's what, I love to give the people the opportunity for that possibility.
That's right. Given the opportunity for possibility, and I like how you spoke about small chunks, small increments, and it build up over a time that you can to be
Hmm.
able to achieve that level of goal and whatever is it your aspiration may be. But you're really bringing, Dr. Pat, you're really bringing a lot of clarity to this discussion and really expanding our toolkit, how we can really look and see where do we want to go, how do we want to live,
Hmm.
and how do we choose.
Well, something too that we talked about when I first talked to you, and it just, when you said that, it reminded me of that conversation that we had. It's like, I look at, when you get, I always say, are you sick or are you healthy? That's the question. And so if you're
Mhm.
sick and are healthy, you're thinking, well, what do you mean? It's just like, if I get a cold, am I sick? I
Mhm.
look at it as if I'm healthy because my body's reacting to something that's not supposed to be there. And then it's just like, if I get the flu, am I sick or am I healthy? Well, it's just like, I might have already been unhealthy before I got the flu, which
Right,
makes the
right.
flu even worse. But I don't know that, because we don't aren't we're and like, we tune out symptoms, so that we're going like, oh, it'll go away, or I haven't been, I've been tired, before, I'll get over this, I can, go out. I'm going to start a health month. I'm in my health kit because I'm going to go walking every day for 2 miles, you know, and it's just like, we don't get successful with those things because we don't have that, like, that mindset, that robust mindset to go like, okay, because robust mindset and health are like not 100% each of them. Sometimes they're 50-50, sometimes they're 60-40, sometimes they're 80-20. But in order to get a handle on many of that, you have to have that you have to be clear minded about what your intention is, and
Mhm.
also be really honest with yourself. It's just like, am I? And that's why I have questionnaires that I give people and assessments, so that I can take a look at, like, what's maybe going on under the surface that they're not even aware of.
Yes.
Because
True.
that's when you want to catch it. That's when you want to
True.
like put
True.
the brakes on and say, you should consider doing, a detoxification, or you should consider fixing your gut a little bit more. Like, what kind of foods are you eating? So that you can have a better insight to that, because what you eat is how you think. Everything that you
Yes.
do, your emotions, and what you eat shows on your face.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true.
Yes. So true.
You hit it right home.
You can't fool the doctor.
True. You hit it really hard there.
Yeah, yeah. Right on
Sorry.
point. Right on point.
Yeah, you're right on point. You're right on point, because many times, the funny thing is that we're asking ourselves these questions, and we have the answers for these questions. You know,
Exactly.
many times we are questioning ourselves, and we have the answers for the questions that we are asking ourselves.
Right?
When
You just don't want to know the answers to. You want somebody else to tell you,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
that's the funny thing. We are not acknowledging what we are doing that is wrong,
Hmm.
and that the unhealthy habits that we're doing, and we're not acknowledging it, as you rightfully said, until somebody bring it to our awareness. And
Hmm.
even some other people bring it to our awareness, we don't even accept it as much, because we're not open to change. We are
Oh,
so
for
rigid,
sure.
we are so rigid And because we're that rigid, we're not opening ourselves now to make that shift, that paradigm shift. That brings me to this question. What Why is making a paradigm shift with mindset so important?
They're actually one and the same, I believe, because the paradigm shift is like, we learn things incorrectly. So we have a box. We grow up, we're in this box, and we have this
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. And just because we have this knowledge doesn't mean the knowledge that we know is correct. So
True.
in having that paradigm mindset shift, happens when, you're like, I want to lose weight, or I'm diabetic, but I like eating sugar and I control my sugar with a pen that I jab my gut with, and you have to think like, if you know that eating sugar is always the precursor to a fatty liver more times than not, then, and if you know that eating sugar, you know, is, related, you know, to what you're eating, but from what you're eating, leading to different variations of abuse over a long period of time that leads perhaps into diabetes 2, type 2, then why would you do something that you know is going to harm you?
Yeah.
Logically speaking. And what people tell me all the time is, well, I like it. But I don't care if you like it or not. I mean, it's just like you either give it up, or like, you're doing a slow death. What would you do that for?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you not love yourself? Do you not love your
Right.
children? Do you not love your grandchildren? I mean, why would you do that? Where is your chutzpah? Where is your drive? And where is your like resolve to do whatever it takes to go and handle those things? So when people tell me like, well, I like it, it's not a good enough answer. It's not, it's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's like, I'm always astounded when I hear that. And it's just like, we're not asking for ever. It might be. So if you knew that if you ate avocados, that your intestinal tract would bleed, why would you continue to eat avocados? Because you like them? Because you want your intestinal tract to bleed and you want to have, an absolute blowout at some point in time? It doesn't make sense. I mean, you change your tires because they get worn in a particular way. And when they get worn, you change the tires. You change the oil in your car so your car runs. If not, your car's going to die. And so, giving your body the nutrition that it needs in order to function properly can elevate your career. It can elevate your relationships. Because when someone tells me that they have circulatory problems, right? And it's just like they have inflammation. And, inflammation is a common denominator in most chronic illnesses and diseases. It's like, and so you've got to be like, well, where does this settle in my body? I have a weak link someplace. I want to know where that weak link is, and I want to tonify it. So what do I have to do to do that? It's not like put a Band-Aid on, your finger is going to eventually heal. You don't need the Band-Aid on it in order for it to heal, because it's a natural reaction to having a cut. It eventually is going to heal. But if you keep on eating the wrong food, it's like, putting sugar in someone's gas tank. Why would you put sugar in a gas tank? It doesn't work there either. So like in your gas tank, you don't want, you have control of what you put in your mouth. So it's just like, it's a hard fact. And I'm not trying to, do I eat sugar? Very, very, very rarely. That I choose. I always say, if you're going to sin well, but don't do it often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's all about being mindful how you
Mm-hmm.
choose. And
Go on Chat GPT, and look up like, what's my best diet if I want to
mhm,
do like, not eat sugar, what can I eat? Because a carbohydrate is a sugar. It's how you choose
mhm,
to pair things
right.
together also. And that
Yes.
I'm just very anti-sugar. So I read a book called Lick the Sugar Habit when I first opened my practice in 1980 something, 86 or 7. And I was amazed at this book. And after I read that book, I did not eat sugar. I mean, at all, for years. My birthday, I would have something, but I would only have, it never tasted good to me. But after you take food that's not good for you and you try to eat it again,
True.
going like, what was I thinking? Who eats this stuff anyway? But people do because they buy for convenience,
Yes.
and or it's cheap. And because it used to be very cheap to be organic back in 1930s and 40s, and then Duncan Hines came along and all those instant mashed potatoes and things like that, and then, they perfected some of how some food's being made today. But food's medicine. You have to honor your body. And if you honor your body, you honor your mind, because the heart houses the mind and the mind houses the body.
All
Well said.
interconnected, yes.
Hmm.
I want to
Well
jump
said.
back a little bit to talk to you when you talk about clean water, but explain a little bit more about that for
Sure.
viewers who are listening about water.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Because people always they're asking me about clean water all the time. And like, how do you do that? Well, all tap water in the United States has fluorine in it, and fluorine is a neurotoxin. There are you have chlorine in it. You also, in a lot of tap water, there is atrazine. Atrazine is a chemical they use in farming, specifically in the Midwest. If you ever follow the Mississippi River down all the way to the basin to New Orleans, it's like a thermometer that has a red bulb, at the very end of it. It's the highest incidence of cancer in the United States, called Cancer Alley. And when you see that, you kind of go like, well, why is that? What the only thing it has in
Yeah.
common is they have the Mississippi River. And so clean water is so crucial because you're intaking that. You should be taking 50% of your body weight in ounces. So I weigh 150. And so my ideal number is 75 ounces a day, not a week, a day. And a lot of people who I've seen chiropractically over the 38 years I've been a chiropractor, a lot of their injuries are because of dehydration. You have children who have ADD. A lot of their ADD is caused by the food that they're eating. Just have to change that, like one little piece out for that. And then, but the water is crucial because the water flushes our system out. It's good for our joints. There's so many uses for water. It's really, really important.
Wow.
Wow.
Great answer.
It is a great, and and also as we go a little bit deeper. That what happened to someone who is dehydrated? Talk a little bit about the effects of that.
Well, dehydration, if you're familiar with Albert Schweitzer, he used to do these expeditions in the jungle. And what their problem was is always having the ability to have good water. Because when you drink bad water, you get dysentery, and then you get dehydrated, and you can die from dehydration. So, and you don't want to, dehydration, can have shakes, you can have delusions, you can have fever. And there's a lot of symptoms that go along with it. When you're dehydrated, if you pick your skin up, I'm so glad that worked that way today. But if you stick, because I've been drinking my, 36, a minimum of 36 ounces of water a day. And that if you take and pinch your finger like this, you want to see it basically snap back. That's how you're hydrated. And that because there's enough hydration so that, and also you need that for digesting your food. You sweat a lot of that out, like if you go to the gym, and so, and our bodies are made up of a lot of water, a large percentage of water. So when you don't have it, you don't think right, you don't feel right, you don't have bodily functions that work properly. Your urine is concentrated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's not supposed to be like, if you take vitamin B, you're going to have yellow urine, but you're not supposed to have it if you're not taking it. That is supposed to be a specific color, and having really dark urine makes it's called specific gravity more condensed and higher number. Did that
Wow.
answer that for you enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for to explain that in detail to us and those who are going to be watching us live and catching us the replay. Because the more information and the more knowledge we gain, it helps us to make better choices, live healthier, be stronger, and
Mm-hmm.
thrive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So true.
Yeah.
So
Thank
true.
you.
You know, you know, listening to Dr. Pat is we all should really pause because this is don't just start like that. It start a pretty long time,
Oh, for sure.
and many times our bodies are giving us signals,
True.
but we're
Yeah.
not paying attention to those signals. you know this is very intelligent.
Hmm.
This is a very intelligent structure. And many times we are walking around, we are moving around, the body is signaling us something is wrong happening inside. And we are just not paying attention what's going on inside the body. So eventually, you know what happened? Everything started to break down and it becomes dis-ease. So we have to pay attention to what this is telling us.
Pain's the last thing to show up, and also it's the
Yes.
first thing to go.
Yes. Yes.
And so when somebody starts having pain, don't ask your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your mother. It's just like, is this something I should pay attention to? Because more than likely they're going, oh, don't worry about it. When I was your age, I had the same thing. But 6 months later, they still have the same thing, if not longer. And if you ask your mother, do you still have the symptoms like that? Oh, yeah, I do, every once in a while. So, it's asking those, it's paying attention to the little things so that they don't become big things and you don't become a crisis. Because when they
Mhm.
become a crisis, I always have the person go like, well, what are you going to do now? you
Yes. So
know,
true.
and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm really good, but there's some things I just can't, there's some things that take longer. There's no process that does not require time. You can't expect miracles to happen. Sometimes they do,
True.
but
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes they do.
do
Yeah.
happen if you've been abusing your body for a long time and maybe you didn't even know. That's what my big thing is. A lot of times people just don't know,
They don't know.
but if you do know, then it gives you the opportunity to move forward and keep moving forward in a fashion that you keep on digging deeper and delving deeper into, like, what is it that I need to do? And just do the things like, give me 5 things to do. Okay. My link to chat with me is right on the screen. Call me up, take time with me and ask me, give me 5 things to do, and I'll be more than happy to give you those 5 things, no charge. But it's just like you've got to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
Yes.
you can't think that what you're doing, because I ask people what their health hacks have been. I have people who take their health hacks and they tell me, what they are, and I'm going like, you don't really do that, right? I mean, it's just like, some people are like, my mouth has been on the ground. It's like, please don't do that. I mean, this, you might want to like do this instead of that because you'll have a better result in a quicker time. Because my thing is taking things that are convoluted, and become solution driven and create a simple, quicker and faster solutions, and that are safe so that you're not struggling and you get to your
Right.
goal even a lot faster.
True. True. And another thing too that myself and Joan always advise people to is that when you go to the bathroom, when you finish making a BM or a urine, always look back. Always look back. Because your urine could tell you what's happening, your BM could tell you what's going on.
Uh-huh. Oh, for sure. You have to be able to look at that.
Yeah, you need to look back and see exactly what's happening. So we want to leave the rest for part two, which is next week, Wednesday. We don't want to give away everything. You got to come back to listen to Dr. Pat next week, Wednesday. We are doing a part two with her next week, Wednesday.
Yes, we are.
Yes. We're doing a part two next week, Wednesday. So we want you to be a returning guest here on Soul Light and Body so you can continue to enrich us and nurture us with all these great pointers that we can add to our toolkit as we move along this journey called life. Because it's super important that we take care of this.
For sure.
It
That's
is
for sure.
super important that we pay attention to the signals it's giving to us. Because it gives us signals every day what's happening inside of us, and we cannot ignore it because ignoring it is not going to help you. It's only going to lead to bigger problems. It's going to be a lot of cascading things that is going to be happening, And Dr. Pat, you give us a lot of information here this evening, And who is in this room this evening and who is going to listen on the replay. There is a lot of takeaways here this evening that you can start to incorporate into your life. But before we leave, one question I want to ask you. What is a great shake that someone can have?
I like Kachiva. It's expensive, but for like, there's like 84 ingredients, something like that in it. And they're all, I can't find something on there that isn't suitable. And so you can use it as a shake. You can use it as a meal replacement. So if you're on the go, if I'm going to be on the go and I really need like to keep my energy and my blood glucose levels up, it's something that I go to. The other thing that I do is I use a product from Metagenics, but I use that also in conjunction with helping people do detoxifications, which we'll talk about next week,
Right.
and how to do them correctly so that you're not, purging, the organ you should never ever purge, the liver. And but the one shake I like Kajiva, because it has like 77, 88 ingredients, something like that, in order to use, and that's a good one.
Good point.
Thank you.
Good. And could you spell that for the audience that they can
Oh my God. Kajiva, Kajava, Kajiva.
Kajava.
I believe that's the spelling of it. I don't have it in front of me, and I never think about spelling it, but I recognize it every time I see it.
Yeah.
No wonder you look so amazing.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I have going into my 71st cycle. And, and I always ate really, really clean, even as a kid. Everyone else was having candy and I was having like rhubarb and tomatoes in the summer. And like we always ate fresh vegetables and, those kind of meals. So like surrounding that. So we never really had junk food in the house at all, ever. Potato chips, pizza on Fridays during Lent. That was it. Anyway, it's just like I owe that, and plus I drink a lot of water. I drink water that's very in good shape.
Wow, you look amazing, though. I can tell you that for sure. You look amazing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
you look amazing.
I appreciate it.
Beautiful.
But again, it's what's happening on the inside. That is what's showing on the outside. Right. That's exactly what you said.
I'm very fortunate. I have a good gene pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
Thank you. Yeah. Looking forward for part 2. We're looking forward for part 2. Yeah, next week, Wednesday.
We will.
Yeah, thank you. And to the audience, we want to thank you so much for taking the time and sitting with us. And just continue to check in with yourself because you're all that you got. Continue to check in, see how your body is feeling, see how your body is responding to energies. If there are things that you're listening to that's making you upset, if there are people you're surrounding yourself with who are making you upset, you got to make those changes with your life. Because energies are so important. And some people you have around you, they're not good for you. They're just not good for you. So if you got to make those shifts, it's all for you. You make your shift, and make your shift in a good way, because they serve their purpose and they help you along on this journey as well. They did. So to the audience, thank you so much for taking the time. We always appreciate you coming into this space. And if you know anyone who can benefit from this podcast, just share us out. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul, Light, and Body, that you will never miss none of this episode. Joan?
Wow. What a great discussion. What a wonderful conversation. Truly enlightening. A lot of clarity, great insight, perspectives. And one thing I'm going to say is look at your environment. Your environment. Outer, inner. Because that also helps us to move forward, move lighter, navigate easily, clarity, and that we can able to choose better? Watch you're eating. Watch what you're the choice when you go to the supermarket. What are you choosing to put in your supermarket? What you have in your refrigerator? What you have in your pantry? What are you choosing to prepare as a meal? What are you eating? What are you choosing to put in your mouth? Because whatever you choose, that's what it is. So today, Dr. Pat has really poured and enlightened us and expanded our toolkit, how we should choose, and the choices we're making that will help us to move forward to live a better tomorrow. We're looking forward for part two. Bring your friends along. So we're going to have a great discussion. Have your questions in mind so that you can place in a comment, or you can send us some questions in advance, and so we can ask the questions on behalf of you. Dr. Pat, it was such a true honor to have you here to share space with us tonight. It was truly amazing.
I really
Thank you.
enjoyed it. I love you girls.
Love
You
you
too.
I
more.
love you too. It was so, and it's so refreshing, and it's so enriching, because many times people would ask about a functional medicine doctor, because it's not just an ordinary doctor. It's a doctor with different perspectives, about food and how your way of life and how you should be living. It's totally different, you
Well,
know.
I get asked what kind of doctor am I? I always say I'm a good doctor, and people always laugh. And then I say to them, I said, well, because I go, one of the things I have a very strong suit in, and that's a God-given quality, is I have a ton of common sense. And if I wouldn't do something myself, I would never tell anybody to do it.
Absolutely.
That it just doesn't. It's not how, I rock and roll and, in my personal life. And I definitely want people to, I want to see people do better. And there's so many simple ways that you can do that.
Right.
Right. And so thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. And if I can make a suggestion to your audience, is that anybody has a question they would really like to have answered next Wednesday, they should message you so
Yes.
that we can make sure that we ask those questions, and we can,
Yes.
and that, I don't know if you already do that. This is my first time here.
Yes. Yes.
But,
We normally do that.
but
Yes.
But it's nice to reinforce it.
yeah,
Yes.
because I think that, it's just like that way, it's just like my goal is to serve your listeners, and that's a way that I know that I can do even better, because we all can do better, and, and helping you out and helping them out.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
saying that,
so
Dr. Pat.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Absolutely.
You're a true joy.
Yeah, she is. She is such a true joy. Yeah. Thank you for enriching us this evening, because we really appreciate it. And I know the audience really appreciate it, because there are so many pointers you give us this evening, how we can really nourish ourselves, the right things that we should be doing to nourish our bodies. Thank you so much for doing that.
You're
And to
welcome.
the audience, have a fabulous week. See you here
Yeah.
back on next week, Wednesday, at the same time. And don't forget to join us on Enrichment of Mind, Body, and Soul on Sunday with another fabulous guest. Don't forget to subscribe to Soul, Light, and Body, that you will never miss none of these episodes. Have a fabulous evening and
Thank you.
morning, afternoon, midday, wherever you are.
Have
Bye-bye.
fun. Yes.
Bye.